Myths and religions form a fundamental part of many people's existence. They have since the dawn of humanity, and probably will be that way for some time yet. But despite being such a crucial part of human life, we simply have no idea when most religions and myths were created, as many were established in prehistory long before writing was developed. Nevertheless, we are beginning to understand why humans create such concepts. Let's explore some of the more interesting explanations in our list of 4 reasons why humans create myths and religion. In at number 4, fear. Good old fear. Is there anything she can't accomplish? From provoking wars and murder, to helping us keep away from the big hairy thing with giant teeth and claws, the act of being scared makes humans do some pretty crazy things. We lose our sense of purpose. We lose our direction. And logic and reason often goes entirely out the window. So, could fear have led us to the creation of myths and religion as a way to discover the meaning of life and death? Fear is a common response to the things we don't know or recognize. But after a while, this feeling dissipates and is replaced by a desire to understand more and soil ourselves less. So, in a brutal world where everything seems like it's out to kill you, it makes sense that humans would create gods in an attempt to make sense of it all. Oh, did you all see Ugma got torn apart by sloths last night? So it was very slow and brutal. Pretty scary, right? No, not really. That's what you get when you anger the tree gods by not washing your feet in chicken milk. Hey, wait a sec, did chickens even make milk? I don't know, but you get the point. And the same goes for myths and legends too. Imagine being attacked every week by a race of bloodthirsty strangers whose language you can't decipher. You'd need to figure out some way of dealing with this horror on a day-to-day basis. So we invent stories about these villains and the heroic figures that defeated them. But as we began to figure out who these strangers were, as we started to understand the mechanics of our existence, why did we continue to propagate these moralistic and idealistic tales? Number 3. Control. The greatest use of fear is to control. If the subjected population rises up when you increase taxes, just tell them it's God's will. Is everyone rebelling because you sent half the city to their deaths in a pointless war? Just tell them you're fighting the other country's tree god. What's that? You want to have sex on a Sunday? Well, I don't think Chinnamasta, the Hindu goddess of restraint, would approve. Do you? When a leader fears a rebellious populace, what better than a giant sky wizard or an idealistic cultural icon to keep them in check? This method of control gives the ruling class safety, and it also gives a sense of security to the population too, through the promotion of like-minded thinking. Shared religions and myths help us form bonds with strangers, people we may otherwise be afraid of. Hey, stranger! I don't know you, so I'm gonna bash your face into a fine pulp. Oh, wait a minute. Is that a laughing baby holding a piece of cheese on that necklace you're wearing? What a coincidence. I'm an infant cheesarian too. We don't have to be scared of each other anymore. Let's be friends, and together we shall destroy those vinegar-loving heathens of the balsamic state. At number 2, knowledge. We've already established that fear often comes from lack of knowledge. When we humans don't understand something, we fill the void with stories to explain why murder happens, why floods or droughts occur, and when crops are most likely to flourish or fail. But myths and religion can be sources of knowledge as well, functioning as a way of passing down traditions and ideas to the next generation. If a fantastical tale of a wheat-destroying monster tells you to throw a bunch of horse poop on the crops to keep them away, this story still serves a vital purpose, even if you attribute the whole thing to a magical goblin called Steve. And as well as practical knowledge, myths and religion also serve as a way of recording history and culture. There are plenty of verifiable events from religious texts which we know to have occurred. And while this doesn't mean the way they were retold is 100% accurate, they nevertheless help to give us a sense of what crazy antics might have gone down. Religious stories and myths help us find out about battles that were fought 1,000 years ago, festivals that took place before history was recorded, and mysterious humans who existed in the early days of man. It is widely believed that religious figures such as Jesus and Buddha were almost certainly based on real historical people, and the same might be true of mythical heroes such as King Arthur and the Greek monster slayer, Perseus. These people must have done something pretty snazzy to attract so much attention, but whatever it was, it's almost certainly been twisted and bastardized in the centuries since. Although you gotta hope that not every myth and legend has roots in reality, like the story of the Egyptian god Osiris and his wang being used as bait for fishing. The ancient tale of Leda being raped by Zeus in the form of a swan. And the Hindu god Ganesha was supposedly created from all the dirt scraped off a woman's body. Actually, I hope the last one is true because the next time my blow-up lady takes a bath, I could get a free elephant lord. But these last few examples also illustrate the reason why such tales are frequently dramatic, powerful, and downright weird. It's because they were made to be entertaining. If you're a believer, then it feels fun and exhilarating to worship the Almighty. It's a neat way to pass the time. It's also fun to live vicariously through the deeds of a warrior goddess or a mythical demon slayer. And it's these crazier aspects which help to pass on the important stuff. It's like putting gravy on vegetables or mixing cola with vodka. It just makes everything easier to swallow. Because let's face it, nobody's gonna remember a story about some jerk hippie kid if all he ever did was walk around looking handsome in a robe while boasting about his big-shot daddy. But make that guy walk on water, hold a kick-ass fish and wine party for his pals and rise from the dead, and now you've got a story. And at number 1, we love bullshit. There is nothing quite like a little white lie. Or for that matter, a big throbbing black one. Every day, people pretend to know what they're doing. Flying planes, opening humans, and writing YouTube channels based on nothing more than a cursory Google search and a buttload of coffee. And every one of these people will, at one point or another, have been scared of being uncovered as a fraud. What if I don't know what I'm doing? What if I'm really bad at this, and I've just got lucky the whole time? What if someone finds out I'm not a brilliant scientist and I'm just a bunch of mice taped together in a lab coat? So, how does this paranoia relate to myths and religion? Well, in a world before science, when we all wondered what the heck was going on, people looked for someone convincing to tell them how the world was. Why does the sky cry tears? What is this delicious red stuff pouring out of my stomach? Why do dogs keep following us around and demanding we throw sticks? In ancient times, nobody had a clue. And so, in lieu of certainty, we looked to those who sounded the most convincing. We always gravitate towards someone who sounds like they know what they're talking about, even if they don't. A con artist, a bullshitter, a propagandist, a politician, whatever you want to call them. These people were the founders of our modern myths and religions. Everything from Christianity and Islam to the legends of the Norse gods or the Knights of the Round Table must have started off when one person, one single creative human being, was pressed for an explanation for existence, why the sky was green, or why birds go chirp chirp. And when that person was asked for an answer, they just winged it, plucked something right out of their ass, hopefully not literally. And then, of course, the other person thought, yeah, that sounds about right, and added a few details of their own. And so on and so forth until bam, we've got fully fledged religions and myths coming out of our buttholes, no plucking required. What we're speaking about is the game Telephone. But instead played on a Saturday night with a group of hard-drinking people, we've been playing this game through time. So yes, many aspects of our religious and mythical tales could have been based on real events or thoughts at the time, with the most convincing or entertaining stories enduring to this day. So in a blast of awoke, while the world complains about fake news and alternative facts, You should know that for thousands of years, we've cultivated and perpetuated this thinking from the Bible to the National Enquirer. And that's our list. If you enjoyed it, you might also get a schlub on for our video on the 7 weirdest beliefs in history. Because apparently gay people cause hurricanes. Yeah, who knew?